Welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo. Oh, I'm never going to get out of this. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Consistency Show. The Expo is over, but we're ready for next year already. We're working hard already. We've got things rolling. We are back for another week. Regular season's right around the corner. Of course, as always, we got James Knight, and we're going to be talking about the last week's ADP Risers and Fallers. It's draft weekend palooza. This is it. This is the big time Labor Day weekend. If you haven't done your drafts yet, this is when you got to do them. So that is all coming up next. All right, here we are once again. It's Wednesday night, probably Thursday by the time you get this, but all good. And James is here with us as always. James, good to have you back. Good to see you again, my friend. Cranking it out there on Big Guy Fantasy Sports articles. How's things, man? Weather looks decent behind you, I guess.
I was going to say we actually have a little cool front coming in here.
Mm-hmm.
We're only in the high 70s instead of the mid 90s like it had been before, so that's okay. I'm enjoying that, doing quite well, and just happy to be here.
Definitely. So, yeah, no, it's been very nice and cool here. I love it. I mean, I still walk around in shorts. My wife's got sweatshirts, jeans on, sweatpants. You would think it's going to snow, but it is what it is. But all right, so we've done all the breakdowns. We've done all of the rankings of the tier draft list. If you haven't gotten your tier draft list and you have your magazine, make sure you reach out to me and I will send you I just updated it tonight for all the stuff that's happening, all these movements, Brian Robinson and, Jaquari, call me Bill, Krosky Merritt, just so much going on, a lot of cuts, not too many people in the cuts thing, at least significantly, that would have any issues, some movements. We had a trade of, we had a lot of people who just shifted teams and all went back to where they started. So Adam Thielen to Minnesota, Brandon Cooks to the Saints. There was one more. Who am I missing?
Mari Cooper to the Raiders.
Mari Cooper to the Raiders. Thank you. Yes. Because who knows? Because Jacoby Myers was like, I'm getting slighted. I should get paid more. 3 days or 5 days before the opening season.
I think there was speculation that he wanted to go back to the Patriots, right? Like get a trade.
You're right. There was that talk about him going to the Patriots. So, but anyway, so everybody's going home to their respective teams. So we'll see how that all works out. And I think the article also mentioned, of course, Keenan Allen going back to the Chargers. So that was part of that article as well from one of the sites out there. But anyway, James, we're going to talk about some guys who have been just skyrocketing up. And I'm going to start with Jaquari, call me Bill, Krosky Merritt. Not sure why you want to be called Bill. Jaquari is a pretty cool name. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, he wants to be called Bill, so we'll call him Bill. So Bill Merritt here has jumped up 62 spots in the last 7 days. It's hilarious because one, and I think I talked about this on our last show, in the Kings Classic, in both drafts, I barely knew who this guy was. I had just kind of heard about him looking really good in preseason and camps. There really at that point wasn't even any talk about Brian Robinson going away at that point. They just talked about how good this kid is. And in a 14 team with 3 flex draft, anybody who has a heartbeat and is on a roster automatically becomes, fresh meat in our draft. So I got him for $2 in the auction, drafted him probably round 14 in the regular snake draft. Like, okay, but didn't think much of it. And all of a sudden, this guy explodes. They trade off Brian Robinson for a 6th-round pick, which has to be very humiliating when you were the starting running back last year and was doing pretty well until he got hurt. But here we are. Chris Rodriguez is there. Are you as excited about Jaquari, Crosby, Merritt as everybody else is? Because I have them on both my teams, and I'm not that excited about it. I mean, I think it's cool that he's there and he has an opportunity, but holy cow, 62 spots? Like, I've been hearing about him going in round 6, 7. Like, I'm like, why? I don't know, man. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
The way he's blown up is just absolutely insane. And I do have the little tidbit. The Bill thing comes from when he was a kid, he would shave his head. And so he looked like Little Bill from the animated Bill Cosby show. And he said that nickname just stuck. So he's like, he wants to be called Bill. And
Okay,
hey,
that's fine.
I'm with you. The Jaquari thing, I thought that was a cool name. I was like,
I would
that's,
say, yeah. Like,
um,
anyway.
but the same thing. I looked him up, and I kind of had done some research on some college guys and stuff, and dynasty leagues and doing stuff like that. The year before last, he was at New Mexico. I think it was New Mexico, and he ran well, put some good tape on. Then he transferred to Arizona, and because of eligibility issues, he only got one game. He played one game there at Arizona. He ran for 108 yards and a touchdown in that game. Then didn't get to play the rest of the year. So, it's kind of the sneaky thing. You're like, oh, okay, nobody else is really paying attention to this guy. Maybe he's got some talent. Biggest problem is he's oddly enough kind of like a Brian Robinson replica because he's an early down grinder.
Right.
Gives you almost in college, he gave you almost nothing in the passing game, which I mean, I guess the Commanders do have Austin Eckler there, so
Right.
they'll do that. The biggest scare for me is you look at Vegas over and unders and do all this, and we see him shooting up. We've seen people trading for him in dynasty leagues. We see him going in the 7th, 8th round now in redraft leagues, which is crazy. Vegas has his over under on rushing yards in week 1 at like 23 yards. That's what they have him set at. They have Chris Rodriguez at 24 and a half yards. And then they have Austin Eckler at 20 yards. So
Rushing.
Yeah, rushing
Okay.
yards. These are rushing yards. And I'm like, either Vegas is way, way off here, or we are just piping him up way too high, and we don't know for sure. So when you ask me if I'm in or out, I was in when he was basically free, maybe towards the end. Like you said, somebody's got a post or in a 14-team league. I will grab that guy and I will have him. But I can't be sure that he's the starter there. I have no idea how good he's going to be. And if he doesn't do anything in the passing game, I'm probably leaning Eckler before I even think about, getting Bill.
Well, interestingly enough, in the ESPN live draft trends, Mr. Austin Eckler, our good friend now, is second at 23 spots. So obviously, big jump for him, which is really funny when you think about it because Brian Robinson wasn't going to catch any passes anyway. So now Brian Robinson leaves, and all of a sudden Austin Eckler now is a god. Well, wasn't he, going to catch the passes anyway? But anyway, just gotta love how the hype train just hits this. You're right, and I've read the exact same things. Like even the head coach said, "Look, here's our focus. Jaquari is going to run between the 20s. Austin Eckler is going to catch passes on third down." And Chris Rodriguez is going to be the grinder at the goal line. So, okay, maybe Krosky gets 10 carries for 60 yards, but that's 6 points. It's not enough. Maybe he's got some burst. I mean, the touchdown run was a nice run, but literally, maybe not me. You could have ran through that hole for a touchdown. It was that big. It was nobody on that side of the field. I was like, okay.
There weren't many running backs that played this preseason that wouldn't have hit that hole and taken that for the house.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So, I'm kind of with you. It's like, I'm excited to have him for $2 in round 13. I'm half tempted, like you said, to throw him out there in our Kings Classic leagues. See who wants to draft him, but I'm not sure those guys are, I shouldn't say that dumb, but I'm pretty sure they understand the value. But if you're if you're out there drafting in your home league and it's just standard PPR type stuff, I'm not going to reach that high for him. Not 6th, 7th round. Again, if he falls, nobody remembers who he is. like I'm in my home league of 40 years. It's an auction draft. Will I bring him up early and watch people bid on him because they're probably reading the most recent news? Heck yeah, I'm going to do
Mm.
that.
Oh yeah.
Plus, every time I bring somebody up, everybody thinks I'm trying to get a sleeper through, so they assume I know what I'm talking about. Doesn't always work that way. Anyway, we'll skip Eckler because we know Eckler went up just because of him moving on. A surprising one to me. Well, I've jumped ahead. James, would you please pick one? I said we were going to go back and forth, and I'm just picking them all. So
That's completely okay. I don't know who you might have been picking there and thinking about doing stuff, but
no, go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in on Tyler Warren here. The guy right here next in line, third on the list here, has jumped up over 20 spots this past week. Uh, by this time next week, probably when the season's getting ready to kick off, he'll be in the top 100 average picks according to this. And you know he's one of those guys that he has quietly grown on me some. When I first was doing research on him and looking at him, I felt like, okay, they just featured him in college. He was getting peppered with targets. He was doing this stuff. And then all of a sudden you hear in camp he's doing the same things and he's getting that. Then they go into preseason and they start, he gets 70% target participation and doing all these numbers. And I'm just like, they might be for real there. And my biggest thing with him is I think it comes down to Daniel Jones and who Daniel Jones wants to hyper target. We don't know that yet. We haven't seen him in real game action. They've got Pittman there, they've got Josh Downs there, and now they bring in Warren as well. I really think it's going to be between Downs and Warren who becomes that over the middle clutch underneath guy who gets peppered with targets, a la Wan'Dale Robinson in New York when he was there, and Jones was kind of using him as a safety blanket.
Mm-hmm.
If Downs or Warren becomes that one guy, then I can kind of get the idea of why he's shooting up boards and doing that. But if Pittman and Downs, who both are 100+ target earners, crush the targets, you and I've talked about this before. We've watched the Colts bring in other tight ends. We've watched them bring in guys who, are supposed to be the next big thing.
Right.
One of them got cut just the other day, and now he's, got put on waivers. So, I think that was Jelani Woods.
Jelani Woods.
Woods, yeah, I think
he was supposed to be the second coming of Dallas Clark.
Yeah, oh yeah. So like I said, at the end of the day, I'm okay with picking him if he falls enough. But he's another one that just is steaming up boards, and I don't know. There's a chance you get him 3 weeks into the season, you're having to play Russian roulette off the waiver wire picking up tight ends. So
yeah, I was just looking. So in my rankings, and I'll probably get a lot of grief for this, I have him 17th. And I know he's in the top 12 probably in most leagues or in most rankings, but I just can't do it. There's just so many other proven veterans like Njoku and Goddard and Mark Andrews and all these people that I just don't see a spot for Warren. Like I have no problem if I have a deep league and I want to draft a backup tight end, maybe Warren. I mean, 17. That's a fair spot. If I'm drafting a Kelsey, Andrews, Njoku, somebody like that. And again, I have a deep bench. Like it's got to be at least 6 or more that I can stash a tight end or have a good bye week scenario. Okay, I'm grabbing. I'll grab Warren, but to put him as my starter, I just don't feel that confidence. And the numbers have shown, remember, there's only been 4 tight ends in the last 12 years that have been over 60% consistent in their rookie season. Granted, the last 2 years, Laporta and Brock Bowers has also been those 2 out of those 4. I'm still not, and like you said, we've seen the Colts bring in these big tight ends that are supposed to be so athletic and so tall and so big and so dominant in the red zone, blah, 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 like blah, blah, blah. And then, like you said, then 2 years later, they're cutting them. Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Woods, and we can go on and on. It's ridiculous. So before we get to the next one, though, I want to talk about a company that came to the Fantasy Football Expo. And their product just got released. It is a draft product, which I know, folks, it's here. but I want you all to listen to this and go get this for your draft. If you're on Sleeper, now if you're not on Sleeper, this won't work. But I'm going to read this so you guys have this. Here we go. So today's show brought to you by the Fantasy Draft Channel. Okay, that's fantasydraftchannel.com. It is one of the most innovative products that I've seen at the expo in a long time. That's not what's on there. That's what I'm telling you, because this is the coolest. This is taking AI. AI is a big deal. I get it. But here's the problem. Every fantasy commissioner, you have a live draft, and you've got everybody there, right? And so other than trash talking, you have nothing else, right? So modern drafts become silent, boring affairs. Everyone sits around looking at their phones, waiting for the beeps or the boops to tell them it's their turn. No energy, no excitement outside of trash talking. But what if you had two live broadcasters commenting on your draft up on the screen while you make your picks? And that's exactly what Fantasy Draft Channel does. We were so impressed that we featured the Fantasy Draft Channel at the Draft Night Out event, and the response was incredible. People were laughing, engaging with each other, discussing the commentary, instead of just staring at their screens on Sleeper. Granted, it's the last weekend. I get it, but don't let your draft be forgettable. Sign up, go to fantasydraftchannel.com and use code LAUNCH10, LAUNCH 10. Saves you $10. Folks, this is not expensive. I don't remember exactly. I want to say it's $50, so it saves you $10. But think about this. It just syncs with your Sleeper. As you make the picks, it comments on your picks. Good, bad, ugly, you don't know. Depends what the AI commentary is going to be about. You pick Tyler Warren a little too early, may give you some grief. I would love for them to put me into the. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that. But so anyway, folks, go get Fantasy Draft Channel if you're drafting on Sleeper this weekend at your house, online, whatever the case may be. Set it up, connect it, and check out fantasydraftchannel.com. Use promo code LAUNCH10 at 10 for your $10 off. So, James, I know you didn't get a chance to come to the expo this year, but it was so cool, such a cool thing. Obviously it's for drafts only, so it's kind of a last minute, but we wanted to help them get it out there. It is such a neat thing. You got to check it out, folks. Got to check it out. I was half tempted in us doing a sleeper draft of just all of us, just because I wanted to see it work, but haven't had that kind of time. But maybe we'll try to pull off something just for fun, over the next couple of weeks or so. So anyway, back to our people, back to our high jumpers here on the ADP. Another one that's been skyrocketing, and for a good reason, and that is Ameka Egbuka, wide receiver, Tampa Bay. Look, I've loved this kid, whether he was going to be behind Godwin, Evans, McMillan or not. I was into drafting this kid. I had him in a number of best ball ones that I did early in the year because he was going around 10-ish, Because again, most people were like, wow, okay, great player, but how's he going to move up? And I kept thinking what a lot of people were thinking, which was he's playing behind Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, who are not getting any younger. McMillan is a good player, but he's not a good player. This kid was extreme talent at Ohio State. He was actually very good at Ohio State. Here's the problem. He had to play 4 years with Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jeremiah Smith.
Chris Olave was there too, right?
And I think Chris Olave was there too. So how do you stick out if you're not, but he still has some of the Ohio State records, 205 catches, I think, in one season, lots of yards, lots of touchdowns. He was just that quiet killer for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are the wide receiver school. Anybody who comes out of there, has to be good. Even if they're second string, they have to be good because you don't last long if you're not. But Egbuka has moved up 20 spots in just the last week, probably even long. If you go back a couple weeks, probably even higher. He is getting into that wide receiver 3 area. I was in a few drafts where I actually just picked him. In fact, I think the Kings Classic Snake Draft, I got him as my third receiver, mostly because I went heavy with tight end, quarterback, running backs early on. So Egbuka became my third wide receiver, which is fine. It looked like it was a little early at the time, but again, 14 teams. I think I drafted him in the seventh, eighth round, so I was okay with that. But now with Godwin out, at least for a few weeks, McMillan is down, got a pretty serious neck injury, which never sounds good for a football player. And so right now, I mean, he is, you've got to get him now. You can't just wait for him to fall to you in round 7 or 8, but I still think he's worth it in that offense. Tristan Wirth looks like he's going to be back, whether he plays week 1 or not 100%, but he should be back soon. And so I feel good about that offense clicking like it was last year. What are your thoughts on Egbuka?
You hit so many nails on the head there with him. I was the same way earlier in the season. Draft season, I was enjoying more of a discount on him. But even where he's going now, I'm still wide receiver 3 type. I'm all in on him. Like you said, McMillan with the neck injury, he's probably going to miss at least half the year. And when he comes back, there's going to be a ramp up period. We know Godwin, is hurt and is going to miss some time and not come back. Evans, he gets banged up from time to time. He's a little bit older too. They spent high draft capital, went and got him, decided they wanted him. And I feel like he is. He's kind of like NFL lineup. He knows how to play. He's going to get peppered with targets in an offense that year in, year out is throwing the ball 580, 600 times. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield's going to find him. He's too talented not to. And like you said, he already knows how to thrive in a receiving room with top targets. So having Mike Evans, even when Godwin comes back, that's not going to bother him. All that's going to do is put worse corners, worse coverage on him. Right. And him having worse coverage sounds like a nightmare for defensive coordinators to me. So, if I can get him as my wide receiver 3, I'm very, very comfortable. If I'm stacked in other places, I might even slip him to a wide receiver 2 spot because I think he's going to get a ton of volume there.
Totally agree. All right, let's do one more here at the top end. Who you got is one of these players you want to highlight here before we look at the down folks?
Let's do somebody else who's another. It's another rookie here because these guys tend to fly up the boards and do this. Let's do TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah, there you go.
It's kind of in the same boat of what you were saying about Ameka Egbuka there. TreVeyon Henderson is now creeping up into RB3, getting close to RB2 in range.
Much closer to RB2s for sure.
And people are starting to recognize that. It was the first touch he had in the preseason was a kickoff return. He takes it back for a touchdown. And then every time he touches the ball, it's like another highlight in the preseason. And this is for the Patriots team that has been starving for some sort of playmaker for some time. Rhamondre Stevenson, good running back. I don't think he disappears. He's going to be, pass pro. He's probably going to have a lot of advantages. But offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels is going to use TreVeyon Henderson. He loves him. He loves how fast he is. He loves everything he can do with him. And maybe the biggest playmaker threat to Henderson on the Patriots right now is 31-year-old Stephon Diggs coming back from an injury. Right. And if that's the biggest threat, Patriots are going to have to score at some point. Drake May's going to look at somebody. And if they're running wheel routes with TreVeyon Henderson on a linebacker, then that's going to be a lot of points. But RB2, I'd be a little iffy, with him as my RB2. But at the same time, I can't deny the talent. I can't deny the hype train that is following behind him right now.
Yeah. These are one of those situations where it's a coaching decision. I feel like they're going to give Rhamondre Stevenson all the ability in the world to keep the job, as a good coach would do with a veteran. So I think it's more on the Rhamondre, you better get your butt in gear versus the coach saying you're benched. But if Rhamondre just goes out and averages his usual 2.6 yards per carry, and then every time TreVeyon touches the ball, it's 10, 15, whatever yards, that's going to go ugly real fast. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's not going to be a short lease because this team is playing for the future. I mean, we've got Drake May, we got other young players in there, but there's also these old guys like Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry. So we'll see if the wide receivers can kick it in. But no, I mean, I haven't been in a spot where TreVeyon falls to me, but he's also gone usually much higher than what I would want to trade or draft for. And it's usually the players around him. It's Aaron Jones, James Connors, that end of the RB2s that you're kind of like, and it's no different situation than Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson or J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. I mean, it's just which of these pairs of rookies and veterans are going to go which direction. And to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of having to make that choice unless I know that player who is the second one has that ability to be successful or is proven to be successful prior to this, which kind of leads me into my next people, because I want to talk about one that's on the down list, but also the other guy who's on the up list, and it's Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Walker is down 5. Charbonnet, I think, was up 15. And for good reason. Kenneth Walker is the better player when healthy. Please, please pay attention to those two words, because Kenneth Walker seems like every time he sneezes, he pulls something. He's been in and out of preseason, in and out of camp with this tweak, that tweak, this tweak, and that tweak. And all Charbonnet does is go out and does his job. Doesn't complain, doesn't moan. Now you've got Kubiak there with running the offense, who is very good at run scheming, done very well with New Orleans, Denver, those kind of teams. And now you go into a dual backfield of Walker and Charbonnet. I love Walker, but if I do draft him, I almost immediately within the next 2 rounds draft Charbonnet, because I feel like if I don't, I've just lost it all. In a lot of leagues, I've just drafted Charbonnet as my running back 3-ish, 4 sometimes, if it depends on how it falls out. Where are you with the Seattle backfield? Do you want to touch it, or do you like either part, or do you feel like you have to get the combo meal to make it worthwhile for you to have either of those guys on your team?
Yeah, early on, I was huge into Walker because, like you said, it's all about the talent. He's got all the talent. They're talking about, having more of a pass to the backs, and he catches out of the backfield. He does everything. Sure. But Charbonnet does all those things too, it seems like. And when Walker's out, Charbonnet's a 20-plus guy point running back. It seems like every time. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of the same way as you. I will get Walker if he falls to me and I see him there and I feel good about my RB1. It's kind of a weird situation because if I feel like I went receiver heavy early and got like a running back, a lower end top running back, I'm almost hesitant to get Walker there. Mm-hmm. I'll kind of move around, but I'm with you on the whole. If I grab Walker, I am now sweating bullets, waiting till I can get Charbonnet and put him on my bench. Yeah. And once that happens, I start breathing again. The draft comes back to me. I'm like, all right, here we go. Okay, we're good now. Let's keep moving forward. Yeah. And because, like you said, you want to know that those 2 or 3 games or however long it's going to be when Walker gets banged up, you've got that plug and play. And I'm the same as you too. If the Walker owner is sweating it in my league and he picked Walker, I won't hesitate to grab Charbonnet anyway. I'll still grab him as my 3, 4, 5. When he starts falling, because when Walker does miss games, that makes him a plug and play automatically.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you pick one more? Pick a down person, and we'll kind of wrap it up from there. Who on the down elevator jumps out at you as somebody that you like, dislike, want to stay away with, or you think maybe is falling more than they should?
And that last thing you said is sticking with me, and it's the top guy. for me, it's Brian Robinson Jr., who's dropped in 47 spots. I get the idea that he loses the RB1 job in Washington, okay? Like you said, getting traded for a sixth does that. It probably lights some sort of fire under him, too, where he's kind of upset about that. But Shanahan over in San Francisco came straight out and said, look, our other guys are banged up doing all this stuff. We went and got Robinson because we want an RB2 who backs up Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking all offseason. We've been talking about it for years now. Christian McCaffrey is the most controversial first-round pick. He's either going to win you your league or he's going to give you nothing, you know? And if he goes down, I mean, that Shanahan system and running and doing things there, they plugged Brian Robinson in. I mean, we were all drafting, you know, people were at the end of drafts were drafting Isaac Gorendo, Jordan James, you know, there's several of them. Yeah, I was in that same.
I have Gorendo in every league that I drafted McCaffrey, yes. And I'm like, no.
100%. And then all of a sudden, Brian Robinson comes here. Yeah. And it's like the exact opposite, the inverse of what's going on with Bill over there. He's shooting up. Right. Robinson just fell down. And I think they're overcorrecting too much with Brian Robinson. I think if you would have drafted a handcuff in round 12, 13, something like that, and you're going to go get a 49er handcuffed, I mean, Brian Robinson is just as good, if not better, than what they had beforehand. The thought of him running in that, I mean, he was running close to double-digit touchdowns in Washington. So you put him in San Francisco, let him fill in for McCaffrey for 10 games. I guarantee you, if he doesn't get drafted in your league, he's going to be the hottest waiver wire pickup that week by far. Not even close. Everybody blowing free agent bucks everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, if you draft CMC this week in any draft and you don't draft Brian Robinson, now here's the thing. Most people they're not thinking the same scenario because like those who have done this in the past, we've all done the Walker got to get Charbonnet kind of thing because we've done it for a couple of years. We know it. But people are not thinking. I mean, the common follower, the common fan, may not be thinking about that. But because you're listening to us, you're going to be smarter. So in that round 8, 9, if like Charbonnet's gone or some of those backups that can be very effective, like a Caleb Johnson or whether it's J.K. Dobbins for Harvey or vice versa. Get Brian Robinson, definitely, if you have McCaffrey. And if you don't have McCaffrey, that's not a terrible 12th, 13th round pick to stash just for a little bit. Have him a possible trading chip, especially the first game that McCaffrey comes out with a tweet, something, which is going to happen. And then automatically be on the phone to that player. Say, hey, I got Brian Robinson. I'll trade you for that person.
Go ahead and get ahead of the waiver wire. Yeah, get ahead of that waiver wire frenzy. Have him sitting on your bench in that break.
Right. Yeah, as long as you have a deep enough bench. If there's at least 6, you should be able to do that. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, James, thank you again. Great stuff. Folks, good luck in your drafts. If you need the tier draft list, please email me, DM me on Twitter, whatever you need to do. I will get it to you. I know it's a big weekend. I just answered like 5 emails tonight for people who are like, Bob, I need my thing. And I'm like, okay, it's all good. I got it. It's like, hey, you got that tier draft list, man?
Bob, I have 4 days. I can't make it here. I'm fainting for this. I need this. Yeah,
exactly. But so get that. Hey, and again, if you want to get the guide and you're an Amazon Prime member, you will get it in 2 days. So go order it. You should get it by Friday. Saturday at the latest. If your draft Sunday or Monday, mine's Monday, you're good. So get the guide. I'll get you the tier draft list. We'll get you all jacked up, ready to go. So James, tell everybody where they can find you. All the great stuff's happening at Big Guy Fantasy Sports, and we'll take it out from there.
Yep, absolutely. You can always find me on X at JKeezy. Come chat, follow me. Let's talk football. Let's do some stuff. And like I said, all the great consistency tools. And good luck on everybody's drafts this coming up week. Because like I said, it is go time, man. It is go time. We're there.
Absolutely. And folks, also, if you haven't subscribed to the site, you got the book, you got your draft done, maybe your draft's this weekend, subscribe to the site. If you have the book, there's a coupon code in there. It's literally only $10 for the whole season. You get all of the tools, which is the consistency information, the consistency trends, the forecaster, the against various defenses to use for DFS stuff. All of that stuff included for $10 for the whole season. Folks, it isn't much cheaper than that. And even if you don't have the guide, fine, it's only $20 for the season. So again, trying to make it fair for everybody. So get that subscription. Do not wait, because we will be cranking out all the articles, all the podcasts, the DFS, consistently cashing, the prop it like it's hot. James and I will be talking Thursday. Ron and I will be Mondays. Colby, Ron, me, Colby, all on Saturday. It's going to be a banner week every week. We've got all the consistency information you need to not only get your drafts in check, and once your draft's going, once your league's running and you're doing well, then let's keep on top of everything. Waiver wires, under the wire, or under, I know James always has this under the wire, under the radar stuff. All of it, fantastic stuff. Can only get it here, Big Guy Fantasy Sports. So for James, I'm Bob Long. Take care. God bless. Good luck in your drafts. We'll see you soon.